What's up, savages? If you want to work on your self-confidence, self-belief, so that you can become an unstoppable force of nature, this video is for you. So what I'm going to break down to you is some really important concepts to, number one, help you understand what's missing today. Why don't you have self-belief? Why don't you have self-confidence? Number two, what happens if you do not address it? This is really important. Number three, what to fix. And then most importantly, number four, how to fix it. So then after this, you could implement these tactical, actionable things to transform your career, transform your life as a sales pro. So digging right into it. First thing to understand is, why don't you have self-confidence, self-esteem, whatever it is, self-belief, whatever word you want to use. This is usually why. Number one, comes down to the messages you're used to hearing. These are messages that you've heard throughout your childhood. A lot of this stems from early upbringing, or the messages you're hearing today, you as an adult. So think about the messages that you're hearing and the positive implications that come along with it. I'll break that down more in a sec. Number two is expectations. If you're not exceeding or meeting expectations of other people, or even worse, yourself, then this can set you up to have a low level of self-confidence. And then if your expectations aren't increasing, you're not continuing to hit them, then you're going to struggle with that, right? And then number three is events. Now, events are very different for a lot of people, because you might be getting a lot of your positive momentum as a childhood, and a lot of confidence could be being built up. But for someone like me, when I was 10 years old, I got into a horrific accident and almost died, and it completely shattered my confidence in all areas of my life. It took me a long time to rebuild it, right? So whether it's an event, accident like mine, a death in the family, something unexpected, these things happen and can completely shatter your self-belief and self-confidence. So number one is like understanding, why don't you have it now? It could be one of these three or all three of these, right? So, but what happens if we don't fix it? One word: regret. We only got one shot of this thing called life, and you have to make the most of it. And what you don't want to live is a life that's not on your terms. And what happens when you don't have a high level of self-belief is, you're not going to get out of your comfort zone. You're not going to push yourself. You're not going to continue to stretch to see how much you can do and how much you can grow and expand as a person. Because of that, you're not going to live up to your full potential. And when you don't live up to your full potential, this is where regret comes in. So if we don't build our confidence up, we're going to suffer with regret later. But have no fear, I'm going to help you get through this. So how do you fix it? But first, what do you fix? First thing you want to fix when it comes to building your self-belief and self-worth is your thoughts. So thoughts become words, words lead into actions, actions determine your outcome. So your thoughts are the first thing that you have to work on in order to start to address your confidence and self-belief. And I'm going to show you how to do that. After you get to your thoughts, what you want to do is work on your environment. So when you think about your environment, this is the situation that you're in every day, the people that you're around. So how do we do that in a tactical, actionable way? And then number three, expectations. So expectations for yourself, expectations for other people around you, and how to continue to build them to make them stronger and stronger. So let's first break down the thoughts. It comes down to two things. Number one is recognize, and then number two is redirect. So we all have negative thoughts. You're not special there. The question is, are you aware of them as you're happening? So the first thing that I tell people that might be struggling with self-belief is take inventory of the thoughts that are coming through your head every day. Grab a notebook for 24 hours or a week. Every time a negative thought comes through, like, oh, I'll never figure this out, I suck at sales, I'm not smart enough, I'll never achieve insert goal or outcome. Anytime you hear one of those in your brain, write it down. And that alone is going to drive a high level of self-awareness. Self-awareness is step one. And then step two After you become aware of it, then you start to redirect the thoughts. I'll give you an example as a sales professional. I don't know how to overcome this objection. That could be seen as a negative self-belief, self-thought. But when we redirect it and say, I don't know how to overcome this objection yet, that implies that you're going to be able to figure it out. So it transforms a negative self-thought to an empowering self-thought, right? Which helps you continue to start to build momentum. So redirecting the negative thoughts and transitioning them into empowering thoughts is a really powerful thing to do, but it starts with taking inventory. Next thing is, in terms of environments, the big thing I say is, do you have boundaries in place? Now, you've probably heard the phrase, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and that's very true. But not everyone has the luxury of transplanting their life overnight, right? So if nothing else, it's just establishing boundaries for what's going to set you up for positive outcomes versus what's going to set you up for negative outcomes. So something tactical and actionable that you can do right now is have a conversation with your spouse or your peers or your boss around where you're at and what you need in order to help you get set up for success. If you're not getting the coaching and the mentorship that you need, let them know that. Establish those boundaries for yourself and those expectations for other people around you. Another way to think about boundaries is expectations for people around you. And then that's going to help you improve your environment, which is going to help you build your confidence. Now, last but not least, this is where the real home run, the transformation really comes into play. It comes down to expectations for yourself. Now, when we think about building a high level of self-belief, you're not going to go from 0 to 100 overnight. You have to build up there. So the first thing I want you to do is identify your expectations for yourself. Let's keep this sales example in play. When you face an objection, do you expect to be able to overcome that? And think about it. Next time you're going to make a call or next time you're trying to close a deal and the person throws an objection at you, is your default to say, I got this, this is a walk in the park? Is your confidence there, your self-belief there, and your ability to do that? If the answer is no, then you got work to do. But if the answer is yes, okay, then we'll move on to the next step, which I'll get to in a sec. But let's say in this situation, you identify you don't have the self-belief to overcome that objection in that scenario. So when you don't have the self-belief, that probably stems from a lack of evidence and a lack of knowledge. So this is where you go to work. Go to work on that skill gap. Go to work on identifying and stacking those wins, getting quick wins around that specific objection, right? If you don't know how to overcome that, study people that do. Steal their talk tracks, implement it, then you start to stack wins. Then that builds your confidence. So you identify, put in the work, also known as stacking your wins, and then after you get to that high level of self-confidence, then you upgrade. You upgrade your expectations. So making it where I have this level of confidence to overcome this objection, to I don't even think about that objection anymore. That's how meaningless it is to me. That's how easy this is for me. Then you move on to the next expectation for yourself. So not only do I expect to overcome this objection, I expect to be so good in my execution that I address that objection before it even arises, which is different. So this is how we upgrade our expectations for ourselves. And that's a very simple example within a sales cycle, but you can apply that to all aspects of your world. From saying, hey, I expect to hit my quota as an SDR to I expect to hit my quota and surpass it as an enterprise account executive or a sales leader or an executive, right? All different levels of requirements in order to build that confidence to hit your goals over and over again. But if you work on these things, this is going to help you build it up brick by brick. So I hope this is helpful for you. It made a big impact for me in my life because after my accident, my self-belief, my confidence was at an all-time low. So it's not easy to do, but it's not complicated. So number one is understand, take inventory of where you think your lack of confidence or self-belief come from because you're not broken, okay? You don't need to be fixed. You just need to identify the areas that you need a little bit of work with, and that's all. So where does that come from for you? And then what you want to do is take action to fix it, identify where you're at, establish the boundaries, call out your negative thoughts for what they are, just negative thoughts, redirect them, and then you continue to work on this, and that's how you build self-confidence. So, hope this is helpful. If you don't know who I am, my name is Justin J. Johnson. I'm the founder and creator of the Beautiful Savage Sales Academy. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Use it. Go burn it down. I'll see you in the next video.